change the format when you're sharing. Okay, it worked. Okay, hold on. Okay, I think we're live. Somebody check and make sure for me. Okay, you guys, I am so happy to be doing this with you all, partly because I couldn't do it without people. And you can't mom, you can't parent, you can't teach without people and without your faith for sure. But the people in here that I've invited are people that have made huge impacts on my homeschooling and life, including my mom, who is here. And these people just, I couldn't do without you. I've learned so much about homeschooling through you, talking to you, asking all of my stupid, crazy questions. So if you're one of those people that likes to ask questions, please do, because I get it. I am one of those people. I like to research. I like to know everyone's plans and ideas so that I can make my own plan, which is sometimes overwhelming, to be honest. So if you're one of those people that just know what you're going to do, I applaud you. I wish I was that just that decisive. I'm going to do this. But I love learning from what other people have gone through and their experiences and what they can tell. And one thing I know about homeschool moms, they are professional mentors. Like most homeschool moms that I know will say, yes, let me help you. I can answer your questions. They are the most helpful people I've ever encountered. So that's why a lot of them are on here, popping on. They want to help. They want to share their story. They want to talk about it. And right now is like the most hottest time to talk about homeschooling, because everybody is asking me, which is why I started this, because I wanted to offer an option for people to check out, for ask questions and to see into the lives of other moms. How do you do it? Ask questions. Right now, everyone is asking me. I'm getting questions every single day about homeschooling, because their school districts or your school district is probably going through a lot of changes, and or you're a kindergarten mom and you're like, I'm not sending my kids back to school in this. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to see what the options are. God bless you for at least looking into it. Maybe God's put it on your heart as this is an opportunity for you to really spend good time with your kids and love on your kids and really and love on them and the character and who they are, and just have that really good bonding time. And this is the perfect time to just check it out, I think. And if you're going to try a trial year of homeschooling, why not try it this year? It's not going to hurt you. They're not doing anything better at the school. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a school hater. I'm a former educator. So I'll start with introductions and tell you my story, okay? I'm a former teacher. I'm a former homeschool graduate, though. I'm gonna cry. My mama's on here. She is amazing. She raised and homeschooled I'll let her tell what she did. But like, she put this in my heart from a long time ago. I closed all of the doors, and when I had a 5-year-old, my life and perspective changed. I was like, I'm not sending my kids back to school like this. And so that was when I started praying about it, and I started doing my research. I was very anti it at the time when my kid was kindergarten, homeschooling. And so I had to, there was a lot of objections I had to work through. Part of it was my own mental sanity, because when you have a 4-year-old, don't base all of your opinions on homeschooling based on a 4-year-old. Like 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds are amazing. So they want to learn, they want to play with you, they want to be with you. And so like when you making a decision when they're 4 is a really bad idea. It's hard. So God put it on my heart. God changed my husband's heart and closed all the doors. So I said no to all the schools here. They kind of said no to me, sort of. And I'm like, all right, then I guess we're homeschooling. So I tried it year by year. I had trial by trial. And now I've finished 3 years, and we're definitely doing next year. We'll probably go in for the long haul, depending on, and it changes year by year. And you'll hear that in our stories too. And so right now we live in Arizona, we live in Phoenix. So some of you aren't from here. Actually, if you're in the chat, please, let's just get to know each other real quick. Where are you from? And what grades are you teaching? Going to be considering teaching next year. So that would be really helpful. So where are you from? And then what grades are you teaching and looking into next year? That would be fun. So put it in the chat. My kiddos are 8 and I forgot 6. So 3rd grade, 1st grade, and a 1.5-year-old, which life is nuts if you have a toddler. God bless you. It's hard. It's just hard. So that's me. And yeah, I have crazy boys, like active boys. So I found I had to homeschool active boys, like really creative. Yeah. So that's me. I'll tell you about it in a minute. So well, let's go to my other friends, panels, mentor mommies. Who wants to go next? Sylvia, you want to go? Okay.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Sylvia Miller. We just finished our 11th year of homeschooling. I actually was homeschooled for part of my education for some of elementary school. And my kids now are, okay, I have 4 of them, so I have to figure this out. I have a 9-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old. So going into the next school year, I'll have a 4th grader, a 6th grader, a freshman, and a junior. I am a little bit like Michelle, that when I started looking at kindergarten for the first time, even though I had been a homeschooled kid, I was pretty scared about it. It seemed like a really daunting task. But my husband had been through the public school system. So I had been homeschooled and then I went to a Christian school. My husband had been through the public school system, and he said that was not what he wanted for our kids. And we looked at Christian school and went, there's no way we can afford this. But I was really scared because I had, at the time, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a baby, and I knew we were going to have at least one more child. So I very much dipped my toe in the beginning, and probably for the first 3 or 4 years said, well, we're homeschooling this year. I don't know what we're doing next year. And somewhere into probably about our 4th year, God really changed my heart, and I started seeing how well homeschooling worked for our family, for what we needed with some of the flexibility, for how I could develop the interests of each of my kids. And about that time, I said, I think this is what we're doing until God tells us differently. And so I now have a kid who's going to be a junior in high school, who's dual enrolled in community college and then GCU next year. And I never thought that I would make it quite this far, but I also, at this stage, I can't imagine us doing school any different way. So glad to be here tonight.
Thank you. Mom or Val or Rachel, you want to go? Rachel, yeah.
I'll go. Yes, I'm Rachel Bain, and I am done homeschooling. I graduated my last one this year, so yay. But I was thinking about, like, how did I get started homeschooling? And I remember I'm not from Arizona, so I moved here, and me and my husband, we were attending a Bible study, and I can't remember why we were attending this guy's Bible study, but he was speaking because he wasn't from our church, I don't think. So anyway, so I was listening to him, and he was talking about Deuteronomy chapter 6, and where he was talking about we need to tell our children the commandments of the Bible. We need to talk to them about their Bible when we get up in the morning, all day long, and through the night, and when we put them to bed. And that's Deuteronomy 6, 7, if you want to look at it. But anyways, so I remembered that, and he said, that's homeschooling. That is homeschooling. And I heard that, and I was like, I want to homeschool my kids. So even before I had even thought that I wanted to have kids, I said, I want to homeschool my kids. So I had my kids, and I knew I was going to homeschool my kids. So I just, researched, did everything I need to do, and plugged in. And I remember telling my husband, okay, we're going to homeschool our kids. And he goes, okay, we could do that until they go to high school. But no, we did it all the way through. So he forgot he said that, I think. But anyways, so yeah. So, and I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I did homeschooling.
Thank you. And thanks for that Bible verse and story. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm asking in some order. So Mom, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next.
Okay.
So I think Michelle and I were trying to figure out the years that we started. What did we say? 92, do we think? Somewhere.
6, I think.
Right. Okay. Was when we started. See, my dog just let himself in the door. Hang on. And Michelle was in 6th grade, and then my husband had the same cautious part as a lot of husbands do. And he said, okay, when we started with Michelle, actually we're going to start with Jamie first, who was in 3rd grade, and he said, okay, we'll give it a week. Well, how do you do that? So it worked. We'll give it a month then after that. And then we'll give it another month. We were going by months at that point. We pulled them out in February, right after the Valentine's Day party at the school. And I just went with him. If he wanted to go by week by month, I was okay with that. And then he started noticing that the family was coming together, and that their faith was going stronger. And through the years, I was sharing with Michelle too, that our goal as homeschool parents were first off to teach them to grow their faith and teach them to grow and have a love of the Lord. And then we felt like after that, everything else would fall into place. After that, we had, I had 2 more boys. And so we started them as kindergartners then. Michelle and Jamie, Corey and Kyle, and all 4 of them have graduated from college. And so we're a testimony that you can make it through. Michelle graduated with a teaching degree. Jamie has 2 degrees, biology and psychology, and a master's degree now in counseling. And then Corey then graduated from Grove City College, a Christian college near us in Pennsylvania, in engineering. And Kyle then just graduated with a double degree in marketing and finance. So you can do it. So.
I love it. Thanks, Mom. And, we got scholarships. I got a full ride to NAU, and, you can do it. And you even homeschooled through like just dysgraphia. So we have somebody who asked in our group about special needs and dyslexia, dysgraphia. So
yeah.
You worked your way through it, and you got through all of the learning difficulties and all of the fighting and stress.
Yeah. Well, and I was struggling so much because I didn't know why. It was actually the one who had dysgraphia, which is like dyslexia except with writing. The one who has dysgraphia is the one who ended up being a mechanical engineering major, and he's a mechanical engineer now at a local company here in Pennsylvania. So but it was difficult, but I went ahead and had him evaluated, and they said he had a learning disability. And so that person taught me how to work with him on his learning disability. And we were able to work through that. So
Wonderful.
It was, and and I asked him, because I knew that this panel was coming up. And so, this discussion was, and so I asked him, I said, what would you say about your homeschooling experience? Did it prepare you for college? And he said, I would say that I was a leg up. I had a leg up on everybody else in college because I knew as a homeschooler how to prepare myself for the studies, how to study myself, and how to gain information without having to be told everything. And I also, during one of our college visits, I also talked to, of course, this is a Christian college that it was a Christian professor, pro homeschool, that I spoke to. And he said that he could tell a huge difference between the homeschool students and the public school students. His thoughts were the public school students needed to be spoon-fed everything. The homeschool students could figure things out on their own. That was from one of the professors that I had spoken with during one of our visits. So
that's really common. People want homeschool kids in their things, sports, music. Yeah, that's very common. Love it. I love it. Thank you. Okay, Val.
All right, I'm Valerie Denny, and I've been homeschooling my entire life. My mom started homeschooling with I have two older sisters, but she started homeschooling when I started first grade, and I went all the way through. And then I had my two boys, and my husband was also homeschooled all the way through. So for us, it was kind of the natural, obvious decision to homeschool, although we did, try to stop and consider, what are our options? Is this the best option for our kids? And especially when it became clear that our firstborn was a gifted learner, it just became a no-brainer to be able to customize his schooling to him rather than having to fight with a school his whole life to get what he needed. And really every kid needs, a customized lesson plan. And you always have to try to advocate for them, but it's so much easier to just do it yourself. Personally, anyway, it's so much easier to just figure out what my own kids need myself, because I know them best, and I know how they learn. I know how they are struggling when they are struggling. And yeah, so it's pretty short and simple. It was obvious decision for us. If that's what we're focusing on, is how we came to the decision. It was obvious.
Great, thanks. Amanda?
So you're wanting us to share what exactly?
Just your introduction and then how you got started.
Okay.
Hi.
My name is Amanda Kelly, and I started homeschooling when my daughter, who is now 12, she was in kindergarten, but I had taught preschool previously and worked in a public school. So I got to kind of have some eyes on school there, and I have a degree in child development. So those are kind of background things, but I just was always open to it, and was just excited to do that. So I have 3 kiddos, and it is challenging sometimes with those younger ones when you're homeschooling. Erin Oxley is probably like the queen of that, to teach us how to homeschool for multiple ages. But I would just say, a lot of people think that you have to be, and maybe some of you who are watching tonight are wondering, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not patient. I'm not organized. Neither am I. And I've still been doing it. So, really it's a thing about praying and asking God to lead your family, and then being open to that. My kiddos went to public school last year. That was kind of something I was not expecting, but we were going through a scholarship program, and now we are glad to be back homeschooling this year. So I always assumed we would be back doing it, but it's kind of neat that my kids got to experience school too, and they are happy to be back homeschooling.
I love how you are your own best advocate for your kids, and you got to do that and try that out in your homeschooling journey now. So that's so cool. Thank you. Erin, This is our last one, I think.
Hi. So I guess my husband and I both always wanted to homeschool the kids. He was homeschooled for probably his last few years in school, and I homeschooled the last 2 years of high school. And I think when we moved to, well, we both moved from different small towns to Phoenix, and we kind of, knew that we wanted to keep the kids with us. And all of my sister-in-laws homeschooled, it's a really big family. So I had a lot of support in it, and I was scared. And I'm not organized, and, I'm not patient, but it just kind of is something that when your heart's in it and that's what you want to do. I mean, sure, there's days that I was like, where's the closest school and how much does it cost? And somebody come get these kids. But honestly, I think that, every time I would think about it, I was like, no, this is where they need to be at. But we graduated our oldest last year, and she's been going to PC, and she's going to be transferring to GCU soon. We're trying to figure all that out, but so it's an exciting time. So we really enjoy it.
And you have all the way down to preschool, right? Or is she in kindergarten? Good.
She's still pre-K right now. We're just starting on reading. So she's really, really bright, but she's going to be another strong-willed one. So we, when you kind of figure out who does what there, it's like, okay, I let her kind of lead on that. If she doesn't want to do the reading lesson today, then we're going to do a little bit of art, or I'm going to read poems or whatever. So it's, I've learned that with that particular, teaching them to read is the hardest, but the most rewarding. It's the most frustrating. There's tears, but at the end of it, it's amazing to teach them that. And so I'm excited that I have a space where, there's so much space between the youngest and the older kids that I can actually sit and focus on her. So it's been really neat.
Erin, don't forget to mention that you have 7, so people with big families know it can be done.
Yep.
Yeah, it can be done.
She's humble. She doesn't want to say anything, but we're all going to point it out. Alex is a big family too. So she has 6, right? I think so. There's
yes, 6 kids with 4 under 2.
God bless you. You can do it. You can totally do it. And then for the most part, I'm looking at the ages. There's some olders, but there's a lot of kindergarten, first, second, third ages. It's kind of a good range, I think, from new, but starting out. So, okay, so we're going to move on to our next topic, which is curriculum, because it's the biggest question that I get. And it's funny because if you're an overachiever, you are overthinking. You're just overthinking, and you're worried and you're stressed about the curriculum being the right one. And is it the right one, or did I pick the wrong one, or will they get everything? Did I cover everything they're going to miss? And let me just release you from that. Let it go. And I learned in my journey just to let it go. So and to not worry so much, because there's going to be gaps, and there's going to be gaps even from public school. So don't stress too much about it, but I want the moms here to go through their curriculums that they've used. And if you're a note taker, go ahead and take some notes, and you'll start seeing a pattern that these are the really good ones. There's always, I think there's all good ones. So any advice on curriculum choosing? Any order? Who wants to go? Okay, Amanda, I saw you.
Yeah. So I will just say that you don't have to think, okay, right now you don't have to decide that you're going to homeschool for the rest of your life. You don't have to decide I have to pick a curriculum through college or through high school. Most families change curriculums. I did. And I think you have to keep in mind there's lots of different curriculums out there. You can drive yourself crazy by researching them. But really what you need to think about is, who are you as a mom? What's your personality like? Are you a box checker? You have to check check the boxes. Are you super organized and diligent, or are you more like go with the flow like I am? There's different types of homeschooling. There's unschooling, there's classical, and then so think about who you are as a person and your children. And the thing is, your children are probably different from each other, and they're probably different from you. So that makes it a little challenging. I would say pray about it, and it's okay to change, and it's okay to just, sell a book that you don't like anymore and change. It's okay. And yes, there'll be gaps, but I think the most important thing is that you're teaching your children how to learn, so that they know how to learn, and then they can take any curriculum anytime and they can really go with it. So personally, I started off with a company called My Father's World for kindergarten, which I really loved. I loved their kindergarten. We did their first grade. I liked some of their second grade, but at that time I had another baby and it was too much. Then we kind of jumped ship. Also, we had a baby and I took like 9 months off, you guys. We didn't do curriculum. We did a lot of reading, a lot of opening to other things, but I just gave myself the freedom to say I need sleep. And homeschooling does not have to look like school at home. If your kids are in school for 6, 7, 8 hours a day and you're freaking out thinking, how am I going to teach my kids for 6, 7, 8 hours a day? You don't have to. You can get your schoolwork done with a kindergartner in like a half hour or an hour at most. So just give yourself lots of grace, and us other mamas would be happy to tell you that. So now I use some workbooks called Abeka, and they have a lot of things. So I use that for science and language arts. History, I just recently got Biblio plan, but we really haven't used that much. I haven't found a great history program that I love. Some ladies have some that they love, but sometimes when your kids are young and you're just like, oh, how am I even going to get to history? You can read books, you can read biographies, you can go to the library. So I just want to stress that homeschooling doesn't have to look a certain way. There's so much freedom. I think by law, we have to teach math, English, a couple different things. The other ladies will film me, can speak to that. But really, there's so much freedom to do what works best for your family and to let your kids go deep on a subject if they like. So I'll stop talking.
I can talk about my curriculum if you're ready. So when you're thinking about curriculum, I think that one of the things that you need to keep in mind is what kind of structure are you looking for? So there's anything from I really just want to pull it together myself, find good books to read, find bits and pieces of I like this, I like that, all the way to I need something that is super structured and it tells me everything that I need to do in a day and everything is provided for me. There's even some options where there's things that it'll grade it for you. And so I tend to be more I needed the plan made for me. It really stressed me out having to think each year about, okay, well, what spelling will we do? What, whatever. And so I also used My Father's World. Part of the reason why I chose that is because they have a 5-year cycle that is designed for all of your kids from 3rd grade to 8th grade to do together. And because of my kids being close enough in age, I didn't want to have to figure out how to in a day teach 5th grade and 3rd grade and 1st grade and do that all separately. So they have a cycle that everybody does Bible and history and literature together, and then they do their grade level for writing, spelling, math. And so we have always done that. They have a high school program too. And so, but in that, there's a lot of flexibility and freedom to add when you're talking about your writing, spelling, math. So we used Singapore math through this last year. And then I work part-time, and I was running into the problem. Well, so Singapore math for my younger kids and Saxon for my older kids for algebra. But we were running into the problem that I was not having, I was having a hard time getting all of their math stuff graded. And so we did a mid-year switch, which is like only the second time I've done that. We switched to an online program called Teaching Textbooks for my younger kids because it teaches and they do the problems and then it grades it for them. And so I could just kind of check to make sure that they were getting what they needed to get. And we're actually, next year, we're going to do teaching textbooks for everybody, including geometry. My 2 high schoolers will do geometry together. So we've done that. We've done rod and staff, yeah, for spelling. We have done IEW, which is Institute for Excellence in Writing, for our writing portions. There are a lot of different curriculums. I liked My Father's World because it gives me a grid with this is what you're going to do in your day. And it gave me a lot of different choices of books. And so like you're going to read these pages out of this book and these pages out of this book. Now that I've been homeschooling so long, I do not live and die off of that lesson plan. I know that I can double up a day. I can take something out. I can take a whole book out if I need to and replace it with something different. We also have done something called co-op classes, which have helped a ton because I'm not really art or music oriented. And so we have utilized some of those things. Go find other people who do well. And we've done it in a non-paid co-op form where I have taught science and somebody else has taught my kid art. We've also done some options where we've paid for classes. For next year, my plan is we're paying to have my kids do chemistry and biology because it stresses me out to figure out how to do the labs at home. It's not that you can't do it. But I don't want to. So that is, we kind of have stuck with one main curriculum and then we've added and supplemented. But there are tons of resources that even are more regimented than ours. But I wanted to find a good middle ground. The other thing that was important to me is that I didn't want to my kids to spend 6 hours a day doing school. So my younger kids probably do about 3 hours a day. My high schoolers, it's more. But, we just kind of consider, I've explained to them that they would be doing homework. If they were going to school, they would sit in class for 6-7 hours and then they'd come home and do homework. So, if they have a 5 or 6 hour school day, but they don't have other homework too. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, that's good. And that is, if you're just listening, I can just imagine it does get overwhelming. That's why I think it was good for Amanda to just say, like, it's okay. You can put things down. You can try things out. And it's just a 1-year thing. It's just a temporary thing. And if you want to change it, you sell it and it doesn't work for you. You have to find the personality that works, so if like her personality works, do what she does. If her personality works for you, do what she does. I love that there's still co-op groups meeting. That's good. I have heard so many things changing right now. Like this week, like everything changed again. So we'll go with the flow. Is there any other information on different curriculums that you guys want to share? Okay, Rachel. Sure.
Okay, yes. I do want to share. When I started homeschooling, there was no My Father's World. And that's kind of funny. There was no My Father's World. And so I know that I would have liked it. And then also, let's see, I remember going to the homeschooling convention and thinking, wow, I could really spend a lot of money on this curriculum, and I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if I like this. And when my oldest, started kindergarten and first grade, I had already been doing preschool with them. So with her and her sister. So I already had kind of like, kind of an idea of what I like doing. And I had an idea on what their learning style was. So, and that's something that you need to consider when you're deciding what curriculum you want to do, because that would really help you. Because if your child is more kinesthetic, have to move around to learn, you're not going to like give them a book to read to learn how to do, whatever. So, so, and then also, like you said, so in my curriculum, I changed. So like when they were little, I basically did a lot of my own stuff. So like for history, I loved the library. So I had gotten there was like a timeline book, and it had a timeline of the different books and through the whole history or whatever, the world. And so, and it gave lists of different books that you could get, and I just checked them out from the library. So I mean, I saved myself a lot of money with the history. That was really good. Another thing, and I wasn't afraid to do this because my kids were first grade, second grade, third grade, whatever. But I had this book that I got, what your child needs to know when. And so it's basically a checklist for grades K through 8th grade was the book that I had. But you don't even have to get the book, because if you just Google what does my kindergarten need to know for this year, you'll get a list of everything your child needs to know, or first grade, and it goes all the way up to high school. So and that'll give you an idea of what they need to learn. And so if you want to teach them yourself, or come up with your own curriculum yourself, you can. And one of the things I remember when my daughter was I think it was first grade or kindergarten or whatever, I said, okay, science. So I want to get a science curriculum. So I tried, I looked at sunlight, said, okay, I'll get sunlight. So I got it. And it was boring. I'm sorry. I mean, it had great books, but it was boring. I'm like, this is boring. I don't like this. And my daughter hated it more than I did. And I was like, this is boring. I don't like it. So I found this book, and it was called Teach Science Through Picture Books. And I was like, oh, I love this. I love this. Through children's literature. It's like, I love this. And so I got the book, and we did it. And it was great because it was a good starting point for getting into the science topics and stuff. So so yes, so please, if you don't like something, your kid probably doesn't like something. So don't stick with it. I know when I taught my daughter how to read, we did what was it? It was called 100 Lessons in How to Teach Your Child How to Read, or something like that. I hated it. She did learn how to read, but I hated it, and she didn't like it either. So, yes. So please, if you don't like it, change. If your child doesn't like it, change it. It's okay. You're not going to get it right the first time.
I love it.
But, yeah. So, but I will say that the curriculum, it changed as my kids got older. It changed. So like when I started out doing math with my kids, I got these workbooks. I think it was Singapore math is what it was. And my daughter, my middle one, she wasn't learning from those workbooks. And was like, this is not working for her. And she's very artsy, and she needed pictures and needed to move around more and stuff. And so I looked around, researched, and I found Matthew C. And I liked it because the teacher was teaching it through a video. So you watch the video, and then you had workbooks. And what I liked about the workbooks is they didn't have to do every lesson or every problem in the book. So in order to learn it. So that's what I liked about it. And then they had tests for the lesson. And then they also had website where you could get more help if you needed help teaching it. So my daughter did it, my second daughter did it that year. And so the next year, all of them did it. It's like, okay, we're all doing this. You're all doing this.
I've
So
heard a lot about Matthew C, but I know it's an investment. So
it is.
Okay, I just want to address it real quick because I know we talked about this yesterday in another forum, and we were basically, someone asked, is homeschooling all out of pocket? Well, if you truly want to homeschool, it is. Like, there's the online charter schools, there's the school options that do, virtual school at home, but then the homeschooling, is parent led. And so it's an investment. You don't get any funds for it. And it's good that you don't get any funds, because you want the freedom. You don't want the government stepping in to what you're choosing to do. So you pay the investment. But I know some mamas who are so good with their money here. And you guys are like, you can pull money out of like a hat. I feel like the way you guys, you reuse, you copy stuff, you can resell it, you buy it used. There's used bookstores. Actually, there's one here in Covenant Resource Center. I don't even know if they're open right now because of COVID. They are. Okay. Covenant Resource Center. Put in the chat, like, these places locally, like, where can you go? I know that there's a used books sale that comes to Christown in Central Phoenix, right? I think they're going to do that coming up. They're going to try to do a used book sale. So you can always go there and thumb through things. It's a really unfortunate thing that the convention wasn't held this year, because I love to go to the convention and thumb through all of the books and get my hands on everything. And I'm such a nerd. I just love it. So you buy them used. There's marketplaces. You can get your curriculum. Billy told me today she's going to buy one off of eBay. Or she found one on eBay. I mean, go for it. I bought my third grade curriculum used this year, and thrift books, you buy the used books there. And actually I YouTubed videos because I couldn't read my kids all the books because I work part-time from home. So I said, here's the YouTube list for the day. Go and read your books. Well, they're read alouds, they're not the actual reading with mom, but so YouTube your books, get them from the library. I gave you my best hack that someone told me that, get a library card for each kid, and you can only hold six books on each person. But if everyone has if you have 7 kids in your family plus 2 adults and maybe a grandma and grandpa, you can hold that many books for yourself at the library, and you don't have to go searching. So get them free. You can totally do this for free. There's actually lots of free resources like Ambleside Online. If you like Charlotte Mason style, Ambleside is free. And if you know of any other free resources, can you put it in the chat too? I think that would be helpful. Just a running list of things. But I just want to show you, you invest in it, but you're going to get your money back if you buy a really good curriculum. I got, okay, but technically, I'm not going to keep this as nice. I got this from a mom who copied everything. She didn't write one single check mark in this book. What mom does this? I don't know how they do this. Like, seriously. Not even a mark, but it was almost new. The mom went through 3 kids with this. This is nuts. But this is one of the reasons I'm a proponent of, there's a lot of people starting out. Kindergarten is amazing through My Father's World because it's a pick up and go curriculum. They have everything all in one. They have your reading, writing, math, science, Bible, all in one. And you don't have to use anything. So you buy it, then you can resell it when you're done with it. And it has the checklist. I don't need to think. So like, I love that Rachel knows. She's like, I love this book and I love this book, but I don't have time to think about about that. I love it. She actually, if enough years in homeschooling, like you mamas do, you can say, oh, I remember this book, I'm going to use this, but I don't know anything coming in. So I just needed a curriculum I could pick up and go. So I'm really glad someone showed me this. There are other all-in-one unit study books, The Good and the Beautiful. I don't know nothing about that, but that one is similar. I think it's like a competition. Is that true? I don't know, but that's another one. But I just love it. It just tells me, okay, what do I need to do for Bible? Done. What do I need to do for language arts? Done. You know, spelling done. English, you have to get a couple extra things. But I love that. Okay, and then I can resell this or use it for another kid. So because I'm thinking long term, I'm thinking ahead, and now I've got the investment, and I bought all my stuff used. The rest of the read-alouds are like, you know, books you read together and enjoy reading together, which I don't. So I know, forgive me for saying that. I have my husband do it because I don't have the patience. I got to go work. So, you know, this is something that they can read. Or I love these short stories. I will sit there and read these really cool stories. I can't wait to do this one. I don't know. This is third grade. Okay.
Hey, Michelle, can I say one thing about copyright?
Sure. I know nothing about it. Tell me.
Okay, well, this is one thing I want to tell you guys, because all us homeschool moms are frugal, but I do want to, most of our publishing companies are just little mom and pop publishing companies that put their stuff together. And so just be careful if you've got someone so there's something called consumable. So like a workbook is consumable. That means that it gets written in and then it's all done. Just watch out for people who are trying to sell things online, like the photocopies of the student sheets or things like that. A lot of your books will give you on the inside what you can and can't copy. So a lot of them say you've got permission to make copies of these worksheets for everyone in your family. But it's fine, like if you're talking a hardcover book, to sell it back and forth, but I ask that you guys, in the name of saving money, wouldn't take money out of the pockets of the people that are doing that. Our company that we use, My Father's World, they're a homeschooling family that wrote their curriculum, and half of their profits go to missions. So you know, that doesn't mean I won't buy used. There's a great used market for it, and if I can buy it used, I will. But there are some people out there that are a little scammy, and so you know, just kind of be aware of that if you're buying it on eBay or
and you're talking about the consumables, like
consumables, right? Now it's okay to sell a workbook. Like I'm selling a couple workbooks that we didn't end up using, but it's not okay to like photocopy the workbook and then sell it again. That's a violation of copyright.
Okay, well that makes sense. So then the consumables that comes with the My Father's World, I had to buy all those. So she only sold me the big textbooks, and then I bought the consumables, which weren't cheap. Weren't expensive. They were cheap. It was like $20-$30 for a whole year's packet worth of worksheets that I don't have to copy, color, cut. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not getting paid for this, as Sylvia says. So if I was a teacher, I would spend all my time in the workroom and laminating, and I know. So there's that, and then the math books that I got here are like the textbook here that you don't write in, and you can reuse for the kids. And then this is the workbook that he will write in. So, and then I will re-get. I'm a homeschool. I will rebuy the workbook. Okay. One question about and someone asked on Facebook is where did I put it? Just the last one on, where is it? Something about like brick and mortar places. What is she? I can't even find it now. Did anybody see that come
Yeah,
back?
there was one up there earlier about utilizing brick and mortar, and I think Covenant is definitely the best place to be able to put your hands on new and used curriculum before you buy it.
I think it's like only one in Phoenix.
You could find some things like at Half Price Books or Bookman's, but it's a lot harder to find what you're looking for. Covenant is all homeschool oriented stuff, and
They also have the classes if you want to do
Yeah.
like class. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to go to the bathroom because I have a full bladder. So you guys can chit chat about these tips. What I'd like to talk about now is, what does your day look like as a typical day? Now, no homeschool day is a typical day. Neither is a public school day, but you know, we have, what does a day look like? How do you homeschool if you've got multiple ages? How do you do that? You know, how do you, what does it look like? Are you structured? Are you not structured? Do you have free time? Are you like, go play outside and read your books and they actually do it? Or do you, what do you, how do you run your day? So it looks, so if you're trying to get ready to start in the fall, what does your day look like? Don't all start at once. I have to go. I have to go. Don't leave.
I nominate Erin to talk on that since she has 7 kids.
Figure out how to turn my microphone on. Okay, so right now we don't have normal school days because we're living in my in-laws. Our house is being remodeled. So, but typically what we would do, you know, my general rule is everybody's up, they eat breakfast, do your chores, and then we sit down for school. So typically, you know, depending on the kid, that's usually like from 9 to 11-ish, they're probably doing seat work, which is like, do your math workbook, do your language arts workbooks, do your reading, do, you know, any of the things that you don't need mom's help on, they're going to just go ahead and get that taken care of. That gives me a chance to work on littles. And, you know, if I need to take anybody back to do reading in my room, or I need to work with the baby or something like that, everybody else is busy. Or if I even need to do something else, you know, typically I could run to the grocery store and they could be working on seat work and the baby could be watching a YouTube or something while I'm gone, and that's happening. And then after lunch is when we usually do reading, or, you know, if anybody needed help, we've got this little time frame before I would go help the baby go down for a nap, or any baby that we would have had at the time. And then the older kids can continue working on their stuff, because once you get to reading, once the kids are reading proficiently, there's really great instructions in well, my father's world, they can go through and mark stuff. I don't like them to mark in the books. I'm one of those moms that I'm like, I've got all of my curriculum stored in boxes in my shed so that hopefully we can go back and use it, but then it's also separated. So if I decided to sell it, you know, everything's put together. But you know, I'll write, you're going to do this, this, and this, look in the instruction book, you know, and that way they can kind of, it is somewhat self-paced, they can work through it. But there is a big trust, you know, I have some kids that no, I have to say, okay, bring it to me, show it to me. The other kids that I can just kind of let free range on that. But yeah, and so I'd say that we're usually completely done by 2 o'clock with our school day.
I'll go. I am not a get up and go person in the morning. I'm not a morning person at all. I like my mornings slow, which is one of the reasons I like homeschooling. I could not get up every morning and get my kids out the door. Never could do it. So I get my coffee, everything's slow. Everybody makes their own breakfast, and my kids are old enough for that now. And everything's slow, and they're not allowed any screens in the morning. That's one hard rule because it's so hard to get them away from it again after, so they can read or they can do whatever they need to do, get chores done, but things are slow and quiet in the morning. And then around like 10, we get around the table And before that, I figure out my plans for the day while I'm drinking my coffee, read my Bible, drink my coffee, make my plans. And I keep a bullet journal. I started that last year, and I write down everything for that day that needs to happen, because I have my master list, and then I organize it into just today. This is all I need to think about, and I can check things off as we go. And then everybody gathers around the table. We do what we call morning time, or morning basket is what some people call it. And so we do our Bible, and we do everything that we're going to do together, because we do My Father's World. So there's the together stuff that we do first. And once that's all done, then they go do their the things they can do independently. So their math or their English. And then I try to keep them close, because mine are not the kind that I can really trust. They're the ones I have to check to make sure everything got done the way it's supposed to be. And their habits are getting better. They're getting a little more trustworthy, but I definitely always have to check, okay, did it actually get done? Did you actually do everything that you were supposed to do? But yeah, we tend to get done a little later, maybe 3 or 4, but it's worth it to not have a rushed, busy morning for my sanity and probably for theirs.
I love that. That's cool. There's actually, is there anybody here that like works and so you like school at night? Or have you done that? Like school on the weekends? I mean, why not, right? Go school on a boat.
So,
Wait, Erin has done school on a boat. I don't know. Go ahead, Sylvia.
so we did, we've done a lot of what we called car school, which was, there were some things you could grab to take with you. We went through a period of time where we were doing allergy shots 3 times a week. And so it was, you got to take stuff with you to do it in the car. So that would be like your spelling workbook, your math workbook. It might be the reading that you're supposed to be doing to yourself, but grab something, and I'd just say, grab your car school. We got to go get our allergy shots. And then last year, my husband and I, we've been through some job transition. And so I was working 30 hours a week and he was working about the same. And so we flip-flopped days, who was doing what, and because we knew we still wanted to homeschool our kids. So sometimes meant, so some days, and even now, so we're a little bit, this school year got to be a little bit more, I was doing it and he was working more, I was working less. But even that, so we have an activity on Monday mornings. And so we don't start school until midday Monday. And then I would go to work in the afternoons. But on Tuesdays, my younger 2 kids would go to grandma's house and they would homeschool with grandma and grandpa for a few hours, and I would go to work. So, we kind of had what needs to get done in a day. And one of the things that we developed early is stuff, what we call it your list. So what do you need to go do on your list? And the list was things you can do independently. So that would be like practice your piano, do your jobs, do your spelling, different tasks that I knew that they could do on their own. So that gave me the flexibility that one kid was working on their list and I could work one-on-one with another kid, or I could go to work and I would say, by the time I get home, you need to have your list done and we're going to do together stuff. Now at this stage, so my kids, the one that finished 8th grade, worked almost independently this year. We did history and Bible together, and reading. So she did together school with us. And my daughter, who finished her sophomore year, she did it all by herself. I would pop in and we would chat about what she'd read. She'd turn in papers and tests for me to grade, but her schedule was her own. So if she wanted to do school at 11 o'clock at night, it was her responsibility to get through the week. And she's the kind of kid who can. We're going to do the next kid in high school, and she's also a good independent learner, but she'll probably need a little bit more attention from mom to kind of not get behind. But that's always been my goal from the beginning, is to raise them to the point of where they can learn on their own. They don't need me to sit and teach them. And that was one of the ways I was able to manage how do you homeschool multiple grades at the same time. But so our day's kind of structured. We don't have a start and stop time in the same way that a lot of do, because we just do school around life. And that does mean sometimes if there's a thing we need to finish, I might do a spelling test at 7 o'clock at night.
That's really helpful. Good ideas. I think that Stephanie has some questions, and we can go into that. We can go into Q&A really, so we don't have to hang on forever. We could keep talking about this forever. But Stephanie, do you want to ask your questions now, or do you want to wait?
I can ask them. Okay, so I have the first thing I want to see is, can you guys like post a picture of what your homeschool area looks like? Because I don't really have the space. Like, I don't want my kitchen table to become the homeschool area. That like completely stresses me out, because I don't, even with just the school at the end of the year, like our house was a disaster. There was just stuff everywhere. And so I just want to kind of figure out what your area looks like, how much space I need, that kind of thing. So I've been a huge public school advocate. Like, Haley's gone to public school. She's only done kindergarten, so she would be in first grade. But to be honest, I just like having the time when she's in school. And so this whole homeschool thing kind of stresses me out a little. So if you guys have ever been in that situation, if you can help me with that, maybe. I definitely don't feel like I have the gift of homeschool or teaching, for that matter, or anything along those lines. And also, if it's on like, okay, so first grade, like that's 30 minutes to an hour a day. What in the world am I supposed to do? Like, I love Haley, she's great, but what do I do the rest of the day when I have stuff that I have to get done? And she's 6. It's not like she's self-sufficient or anything. So I think the logistics are stressing me out a little, whereas I don't really want to send her to school if she has to wear a mask and do all that because she's 6. But also I think I need some concrete logistics and stuff, like what to do. Like, I'm not super creative with coming up with ideas for her to do, and just the whole thing, to be honest, the whole thing is really stressing me out, and I'm trying not to be stressed about it.
Okay. Well, I'll just say one thing, and then any mom can jump in, is I said, thank God for curriculum, because that gave me amazing time. I got to sit and just work with my kids. So you'll actually have a lot to do with, even if it's an hour or an hour and a half, 90 minutes is recommended. So I was so thankful for direction. And then from there, I mean, go outside. So that's just where I'll start. I'm thankful for the curriculum because I hate nothing to do. I hate it. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I can show you my homeschool area real quick. I don't know how to take a picture on Zoom, but we're going to go for a little walk. And I'm sorry your feelings about the table, but this is oh, I don't know if I can do, okay, I'm going to turn it around. Okay, so just a minute, babe. I know my teenager is saying I can flip my camera, but I don't. Wait, here we go. Haha. Did it do it? No, she lies. There we go. Okay, so that is what I call my homeschool shelf. It's a little messy right now because we're in transition, old stuff coming out, new stuff going in. We do a lot of homeschool at this table. We do a lot of homeschool in this living room. Hello, that's a kid. My decor, because I don't have a lot of space, I don't have an extra room. So, my dining room decor is maps and timelines. And then I've got bookshelves. That's my older girls, that's her stuff. This bookshelf is my second daughter's, that's her stuff. And then Vivian really wants me to show you, this is her desk. So there you go. So that's, I think if you're the kind of person that really wants it to be separated out, you don't have to have a ton of space to make it work. Maybe a dedicated bookshelf that everything goes at the end of the day. But we do lap desks in the living room. We get kids who prefer to do their school. My bed ends up being what my oldest daughter ends up doing a lot of her stuff sitting on my bed because there's a door she can close, she can get some quiet. So it's being creative about spaces. It doesn't have to be like, okay, we're going to school, we must sit at a desk and sit and look at the whiteboard and raise our hand when we talk. There's a lot of flexibility. When it's nice out, outdoor spaces are great. So, thinking outside of the box as far as where do you do school to look at what really works for your life.
And hi, I'm not a veteran homeschooler, but I was a teacher and I have way too many kids and I'm OCD. Yeah. And you said, what would you do with your 6-year-old or where would you put your stuff? So our house is 1,100 square feet. There's 6 kids and 2 adults. And I have everything minimal. And I'm organizing my homeschooling stuff. So I got bins to organize everything. And then I put it in a closet where everyone can reach it, like the big kids, the 2 big kids. And there's schooly stuff, but there's also art stuff and game stuff. So when they are done with their curriculum, math, reading, writing, that type of stuff, then on the free time, they can do different games for my 4-year-old because now, and Amberly is 8 and she'll play war with the 4-year-old. So do lots of coloring and construction paper stuff. So if you're what do I do with them? Just give them a box of paper and scissors and glue and be okay, bye, go have fun ripping paper. That's sneaky. Okay, sorry.
I love it. I think it depends on the type of person you are too, what kind of kid, does she want to be doing things or does she want to be outside? Because the best thing is just go outside and then field trips. That's kind of why anyway, okay, Rachel, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I know that for me, we did school at the dining table, and then I had them put their books in the other room so that the school was in the other room. Because when you walk into my house, there's the living room area and then the dining room, so you could see the dining room table. So I had them put their books in the other room, and I had a crate where they put their books in for that year. All your books go in here, all your supplies, whatever you need in there. And I had another cabinet with school supplies, art supplies, whatever. And then I had another cabinet, another bookcase for books, all the books that I needed. And it's overflowing because, I homeschooled 3 kids and all the curriculum. Anyways, so you don't have to have it out if you don't want to have it out. And then also another thing I wanted to say was I heard her say that she has stuff that she wants to get done, and I don't know how helpful your daughter might be, but she might want to help you. So you might say, well, we need to do this today, will you help me? And then don't tell her we got to do chores or we have to work, do housework, whatever. Say, will you help me? And have her help you do whatever it is you need to get done. And, you might find that you have a little extra time that you could play a game with her or whatever. So, and that's what I did with my kids. I never called chores. I always said, will you help me? We need, so-and-so's coming over. We need to clean the house. Let's clean the house. Help me clean the house. And they would pitch in and they would do it. They would clean. I mean, they clean the whole bathroom and it'd be like, wow, that's sparkling clean. So, but I never said, let's, you have chores to do. In fact, my daughter, we were at, she was at church and they asked her who has chores, who has to do chores. And she's like, I don't have chores to do. Like, yeah, you do, you just don't know that we don't call them chores. So anyways, so, yeah. So ask your daughter or your child, your kids, we have to do this. Help me clean up or help me do whatever we have to do. And they'll pitch in and help. So, that should, needing to have your house clean, which shouldn't be a reason not to homeschool. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, one tip I got was just let your house go. Just let your house go.
You can.
You don't have to let your house go, but
I say have your kids
be as clean.
Have your kids help you. Have your kids
yes, they're there for a reason. I'm just kidding.
Yes. In fact, so this was something I wanted to say about homeschooling. When they're little, I didn't teach them all the subjects every day. So yes, we did reading and math and writing. We did those every day. But if we were busier that day, then we didn't do, history or we didn't do science. We just did it once a week. So that was something that I wanted to say that I'd forgotten. So, on those days when I was busier or I knew someone was going to come visit and I need to clean house. Okay, we're going to clean house, all week. Help me clean up. So anyways.
Take a break. I also heard some moms do 6 weeks on, 1 week off because that's kind of God designed rest. Make sure you have rest because you are working your butt off during this year when you school. You are your 100% job and it is hard work. Another mom told me, get a house cleaner. If you can afford it, talk to your husband. And she said that was one of our deals. If I'm homeschooling, you're going to get a house cleaner. I mean, go for it. If you need an excuse. So that helps, we'll do one more tip. You guys, you lose your private time. You lose your self, when you don't send your kids to school. So if you're used to that, one thing, what do you do? What was one thing you did to kind of reorganize your mindset? Anyone want to mention that?
I give myself dates. I'll have one night a week where I get to go to Starbucks and just be away, or grocery shopping is a me date. I go by myself and I don't take any kids with me, and it's a refresher for me. Finding me time, making sure I've still got my hobbies that I do, that I'm still refreshing myself, starting the morning with the Bible, and just giving myself places to hide. I'm an introvert, so it's sometimes overwhelming even with just 2 kids to have so much going on around me all the time. So finding me space, which is a little harder right now with my husband working from home. I can't hide in my room anymore. But give myself a time out when I need it. And just, make sure they're safe. If they're watching TV, that's fine. They can watch TV for a while. It's not the end of the world, but give myself me space.
Hey, the other thing I wanted to say, this season of COVID is a little strange, but plug yourself into community as much as you can. So I have, since the beginning of homeschooling, I've met with a support group that we met weekly and let the kids play. But let me tell you, that was not for the kids. It was a benefit that the kids got to go play, but that support group was for me, because I needed people on occasion to talk me off the ledge. Like Erin, I'm like looking around for where's the school I can take my kids. So there is a statewide organization called Arizona Families for Home Educators, AFHE. And if you go to their website, they have a list of support groups. Now, what is strange, of course, is we still don't know what the fall is going to look like for me in person. But if you even just find a buddy that it's like, okay, our families are going to be buddies and maybe we're going to social distance from everybody else, but our families are going to play with each other. And, you know, another homeschool family with kids that are about the same age as yours. And you let your kids run wild in the backyard with the sprinklers on, and you drink coffee with your mama friend and talk about how your week went. I needed that. I am an extrovert. And if I had been home with my kids, only my kids all day long, I don't think that we would have lasted. So there are in Phoenix a ton of activities that you can take your kids to. Again, you know, we'll see what the fall looks like, but there are co-op groups, there are special interest groups, theater, all sorts of things, sports. My high schooler's gonna do sports in the fall with a Phoenix Christian High School. So there's lots of options for socializing stuff. And even, you know, like, so when we went through the spring where we weren't having in-person contact, Michelle was leading a Zoom group on Fridays, and she had like the kids show up on Zoom for show and tell. And they did science stuff, and, you know, they had different themes. So there are ways to plug in, but definitely I would suggest don't homeschool in a vacuum, because the stress that you're feeling, part of that is like that feeling, I've got to do it all by myself. And there are lots of people around doing the same thing. So getting connected to those will help a whole lot.
Okay, let's finish up let's finish up at 8:30. I didn't realize it would go so long. Any other questions? Oh, Stephanie asked earlier, she's thinking long-term, like, what do you do about sports and all that? She's just at kindergarten. I love it. Erin, did you want to go? Did you? No.
Sure. So there are, you know, if we can get a handle on COVID, we've done soccer with at North Phoenix Baptist Church. There's a lot of sports clubs. We were talking last night on the other call that some schools, your local district, will let you join in their sports teams. We've never done that. We did soccer until I was pregnant with, I think, second to the youngest. And we realized we had 4 kids on 4 different teams, and my husband was going to school, and I said, I don't know how I can't get these kids to 4 different games. And we realized that we couldn't do that anymore. So we did indoor soccer. I mean, there are lots of different resources for PE. There's co-ops for sports and things, but yeah, you can utilize the local schools for that too.
There's a wonderful dance teacher on this call.
Oh yeah, there is. we did that for a while.
Yeah, Vivian did a dance class with Amanda, and then Amanda, you're doing virtual classes now, right? So they can do it kind of whenever it works for them.
Do you want to unmute? Yeah. Yeah, virtual. Everything's virtual. I think it's hard, but we're going to make it work. There she goes.
Oh, I don't really have anything to say. Yeah, there's a lot of different things like that you can do. I think some of the ladies that were on, they're probably wondering, how do you homeschool and work? I think Courtney was talking about that. I think a lot of us work. And really, for me, I had to let go of the mom guilt with TV or screens. I mean, yes, we have to have limits, but for me personally, I'm an introvert. I need alone time, and it is more important for me to either get that outlet for work or to get that outlet for my own quiet time. And I let my kids do screens, and I have had to say that's okay. So that's one thing you can do with working. I've done things where I've maybe hired a babysitter in a couple times a week. I think when you're trying to work and you're like, I have to work, and I have to get homeschool done, I think if you can kind of set aside like, okay, in the morning when my kids are fresh, that's when we're doing math, that's when we're doing spelling. And then in the afternoon, this is when, you know, they have a little more free play time. You can give them like some lists of things. They can do puzzles, Play-Doh, art, listen to an audiobook, play outside. And then that can be like your, okay, I know I at least get to work from this time to this time, and train them, which is still a struggle for me, but training them to know, okay, kind of this is the schedule or the routine of our day that mom works in the afternoon for these hours. And I recommend you guys doing a quiet time, even when your kids are older, having a quiet time where everybody goes to their own room for, I don't know, half hour, 2 hours, however long you can milk it, mama, and have certain things that they do, audiobooks. The kids do their independent reading. Then I have a daughter who likes to draw, and that can be, you know, just that part of that routine where, you know, this is when I'm going to get to work. Because personally, I can say when I have tried to like, okay, well, I have to work now and I'm stressed out, and you're working and you think I should be homeschooling, then you're homeschooling and you're thinking I should be working. But if you have kind of a plan of this is what I'm doing this time and this is what I'm doing this time, and it's not going to look perfect, but I think it just helps emotionally. So I'll speak to that.
It's really good. Who else wanted to know that? Oh, by the way, I wanted to have a raise of hands. Who in the homeschool world has considered having a hard day, considered putting their kids back in school? Everyone except for Rachel. I'm impressed.
I wanted to talk about the
Yeah, go ahead.
a little bit, a little, this is a little tiny bit. Yeah, there are tons and tons of homeschool homeschool teams. So anything that you're interested in, I'm actually a homeschool archery coach. I coach archery for 3rd grade through 12th grade. And we have our archery class on Thursdays mornings at Glendale Heroes Regional Park. They have an archery range. So yeah, there are homeschool teams. I know there's basketball, and there's, you know, PE, and there's let's see. I think there's like a running team too, a homeschool running team also, or track team, homeschool track team. So there are those that are available. I know that you can find out about those different things through a Covenant Homeschool Resource Center, also through AFI. Anyway, so archery is really, really popular here in Arizona. The schools do it too. So I teach the National Archery in the Schools program, and they do that in the schools also. So there's it's huge in Arizona.
I was just gonna say that. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm basically done. Really,
Okay.
I'm done. But there, you know, there's any extracurricular thing that you want to do. I'm sure there's somebody out there doing it. Homeschool, you know, there's Mozart where you could do theater, homeschool Mozart. But there's also community theater, which my daughter did this year because she wants to get into theater. So she did a lot of that this year. So there's lots of things that you can do, anything that you want to do. You can do also, that was something that I wanted to talk about a little bit, because I know there's maybe 1 or 2 high schoolers that you can create your own curriculum for those extra classes, the non-essential classes. So like this past year, my daughter did programming. I actually have a degree in computer science. So I had her do this book, Coding Projects in Python. And so you can come up with your own classes and do, I mean, I've done art with my kids. I've done music with my kids. I've done business class with my kids. I found a book and we went through it. So anything you want, you can find it.
So that shouldn't be not homeschool. And then also the schools, the high schools will actually allow your kids to join their teams. So anyways, I think that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, Courtney, there's two of them asking about the archery. I don't know if they're local. Stephanie's kind of out, but what's your archery group called?
My archery team is called it's Data Dove Archery Team of Arizona is our homeschool team. And we have classes on Thursday mornings. If they're interested, you can give them my email address and they can email me. Okay.
Okay.
And I think there are, Rachel, is it 3 or 4 homeschool archery teams in Phoenix now?
There's only 3. The one in Mesa is no longer
Okay.
me.
Yeah,
So
so there's one
so-
that's kind of like Central Valley, right? Rachel meets in the West Valley, and then there's one that meets kind of farther north. So there's a couple different options.
They meet at Ben Avery.
Yeah, at Ben Avery shooting range on Carefree Highway and the 17.
Yeah.
So there's she's definitely the best if you're in the West Valley. Rachel's great for that team, but there's a couple choices.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, just real quick, wanted to talk about Mozart Productions. It's the homeschool theater company. I've been with them since I was 15. They have locations all over the valley, and they are at the moment planning, I also teach their classes. At the moment, they are planning on having both in-person and online classes this coming semester. So whatever happens, there's an option available with theater right now. And those are once a week classes usually.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny. I think we're all in like a different, it's good. We have like our feet in certain things. I like it. I was a band. I was actually, okay, this was 20 years ago, but I'm pretty sure it's still okay. I mean, I was in band, marching band, jazz band, choir. What else? My sister was in orchestra. I was the choir accompanist. I got full ride scholarship to NAU for playing flute. I also was drum major of 2 different high schools. So they don't discriminate against homeschoolers. So if you ask to be in, it depends on your district. And I heard it's based on like the school you're supposed to go to, because it's all based on money. If they allow you in, they get some money. So that helps them. So they're like, come on in if you want it. There's that. And then can you get to college? We can stay on if you guys want to and keep chatting. I do want to talk about tips for teaching like your kids, like what is the one tip and wisdom, final wisdom. But what about college? Can you get the in? What do you need to be required to get into college?
I will answer that because I am dealing with that right now. I'm actually my oldest. She graduated from GCU. So she went to community college for like a year and a half, and then she transferred over to GCU and she got her degree. So yes, you can go to college. She took the SAT. I created a transcript for her, and she had a transcript. When she went to the community college, they took the transcript. So my youngest, she is going to go to GCU this coming year. And same thing, I created a transcript for her. They wanted to know when she graduated, and it was really easy. And with GCU, they have they're very homeschool friendly. So if you know the school is very homeschool friendly, they'll have a homeschool counselor there to help you, and you just talk to them and they'll tell you everything that you need to do. That's basically what they did for my daughter who's going to GCU. So, and then I have another one, my middle one, she's gone to Phoenix College for the last 2 years, transcript, and she got a full ride to Phoenix College because she had 4.0 on her transcript. And they saw that and they said, "Oh, you can be in the honors. You can be in the honors college and get a full scholarship for 15 credits for each semester." So I think we just had to pay for a couple of credits or something. And so at the community college. So basically her community college was mostly free, had to pay for books, but that was it. So that was really nice. And then she's going to transfer to either ASU or FITM. She really wants to go to FITM, but she's having a hard time with the current situation. Anyways, so yes, so you can go to college. There's schools that are very homeschool friendly, and they want your homeschooler. Yep.
Okay. What else? So I did have a lot of, I don't know if they're on here. Stephanie has older ones and younger ones. So not Stephanie.
I'm sorry, were you asking me something?
Yeah, you have
I was
older,
away from my.
You have older and younger, Stephanie McCon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have 6 kids. My oldest is 14 and my youngest is 3, so.
Okay. Yeah, you got a wide range.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people ask, how do you do it with littles? I think, did we already talk about that? How do you do it with littles? And, I think we kind of did.
Well, with me, I've only a couple of my kids have been homeschooled so far, and it's been between me and their dad. And with the littles, it's difficult, and I'm trying to learn because I'm going to start homeschooling all of my kids this coming year. So it's definitely a challenge trying to figure out time and with work and stuff like that. But I will probably be home and just working from home at that point. So so it is a challenge, and trying to find, I definitely need a little bit of help on finding the organization and figuring out the time for all of the kids, because I don't have any twins. They're all different ages, so everybody's got different interests, and it definitely is a challenge at times.
It's a busy job.
When I was homeschooling, when I still had preschoolers, one of the things that I did was I made a basket of their school, and these were toys and things that they only got to play with when we were doing school. And so pulled stuff out, was like, oh, no, you can't play with that right now. We got to wait till it's school, and to try and make it. I got it from, we had done when I was nursing, and we had a nursing basket for my older kids, pull something out for them to play with while I was nursing the baby. But your younger kids will want to participate, and so finding some kind of something for them to do during that time. Also utilizing nap time. If there's something that can't be interrupted by hollering kids, try and do it during nap time. And then there are some theories. This did not work for me, but like training your little kids to do blanket time, where they sit on the blanket and they play with their toys. I think that probably no one trained me how to train someone to do blanket time, but we homeschooled with the 2-year-old climbing into the middle of the table and screaming his head off, and and everybody laughed, so he did it over and over again. And it was just kind of like, well, we're just gonna keep going. That's Michelle's right now. Michelle with Aaron is probably like all up in everybody's business, but she comes up with a lot of really fun things for him to do, so that it's like he gets his time too. And so I think that's the important thing, is that if your littlest kids know they're going to get their turn at some point, it helps a ton.
Yeah, I wanted to say about, I know when my daughter, there's 5 years difference between my youngest and my oldest. So I was starting school when my little one was, born, whatever. So, when she was little and I was doing school with the older kids, I made sure that I gave her schoolwork to do. And, here's the Play-Doh. Here, play with the Play-Doh. This is your school. This is the Play-Doh's red. So she could learn her colors or whatever. So I made sure to tell her she was doing school. And then one year, I think she was 3. And it was the first day of school that year. And I gave the kids their paperwork, and I said, here's your school. And she turns to me and says, Mom, where's mine? And I had forgotten that I needed to give her something too. So I went and copied some papers and said, here's your school. And she gladly did them. And so she was always there when we were homeschooling. I never, sent her away or whatever. Always tried to involve her. So she was doing school while the other kids were doing school, and she would get done before everyone else because she was little. So when she was done, she'd say, I'm done. I'm going to go do whatever. So she would go off and go play and do whatever she wanted to do or whatever. So, and then she even did that. I'm not quite sure how to say this, but she did her work really fast. So like when she was older, and she wasn't a little anymore, but she had schoolwork to do, she would do it really fast and get it done. Say, okay, I'm gonna go watch TV. And my older kids still had schoolwork to do because they were in high school and middle school, and so they had a lot of work to do. And so she'd go off and do stuff on her own, read a book or watch TV or whatever, and that was fine. And I started giving her more work to do than her other sisters, so that because she just did it so fast. So I was like, okay, you're going to get a little bit more work. Don't tell her. She doesn't know to this day that I gave her more work than her sisters. Anyway, but I will say that reminded me of something my oldest daughter said when she was done with college, or she was in college. She said that high school was harder than college. So I gave her more work. I prepared her for college, and she was doing hard work at college. So yes, you can do college even being homeschooled. Anyways, so include them in your schooling. When you're schooling, they will pick stuff up. They will pick it up, because I know my youngest, she picks stuff up, just from hearing, me teaching my kids how to read and all that stuff. And she loved it when I read to the kids, because I read to the kids. This year, she was a senior this past year. And whenever we did art, I would read picture books to all of my kids. And she's like, Mom, you got to read to me. You got to read those picture books to me. She wanted me to read picture books to her, even though she was a senior in high school, knew how to read.
Oh,
so
that's so sweet.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway.
Okay.
It just reminded me, a lot of people on here just have kindergartners too. And like just playing with them, just getting on the floor, playing and reading books is amazing. And Val told me my kindergarten year, she's like, it's your practice year, Michelle. You can't do anything wrong. Just enjoy it. Something like that, and I'm like, you're right. It really was. It was great. It was a simple, easy, good year. So beautiful. I loved kindergarten.
Yeah, I'd say my parting wisdom is relax. Things will get covered again. If you miss something, if they don't understand something, it'll get covered again. Don't worry about it. And then know when to stop. If somebody's crying, it's not worth it. Just take a break. Send them outside. You get your breath. Come back to it later with a different approach. My big one, feel like my homeschooling win day was one day we were doing long division with my oldest, and he needed to know why we did it that way. Like he could do all the steps, but he could not get past the why. And he was almost in tears and I was almost in tears. So I sent him outside, got my breath, found a video online that explained why. And then we watched that together and then it was fine. But just, I think if you know when to say, we're done here, we can come back to it later, that's the biggest thing, is knowing when to back away.
So good. Anyone else? All right. We have overstayed our welcome, but I am so glad. We don't want to leave, you know? So I know, I just want to say, last thing is that any one of us would love to have any one of you over to our house. And if you're comfortable, even those COVID issues, come over. Even if you've been doing it a year or two, just go over to someone's house that's been doing it and go through their stuff and pick their brain. And that is worth more than anything else that I've learned. So sitting with someone and going over things, doing it over FaceTime if you have to, but any one of us would love to have any one of you over or on FaceTime. All right. It was so good to have you. Thank you all. Bye. Thanks. Have a good night. See you later.